Well, I'm hopeful that today I will be able to show you some things that will help you navigate your 2D experience inside of Revizto a little bit better. We're going to go ahead and get started now. Thank you so much for everybody who participated in the polls. Really appreciate that. Just, the traditional stuff, housekeeping. It's going to be recorded. Zoom link will follow. For everybody that's been registered, you're already going to be registered for all 6 of these. Again, this is the second one of 6. Please use the chat, engage with others. It's open forum for everybody here to have conversations and talk. Please submit the Q&A through the questions part module so that we can get those addressed for you guys. For future webinars and events, follow Revizto, and then you can connect with me on LinkedIn as well, and there's my handle. Again, my name is Corey Clasen. I come from an electrical background, about 15 years between BIM, VDC, and installing in the field. So I'll skip through that. We really did an in-depth dive last time, so no need to go through any of that again. But oops, backwards. We're going to jump right into it. Let me escape there. All right, so we're going to jump right into 2D today. Interesting that some people aren't putting their installation drawings in there, but that's okay too. Got a couple use cases there that I can share a little bit later, but overall 2D as a module, there's a lot of different features that we have here. Starting with filtering, there's a lot of different ways that you can filter your drawings, and every project is going to have different parameters here that you're going to be able to search through. Some of the things that I like to use inside of the filters, one is, does it have an overlay or does it not have an overlay feature available on it? So you can easily, see which drawings on your project are not available to have the overlay feature. These could be drawings that were brought in directly, imported in from like a PDF set that you guys were given or something along those lines, or you can just look at all the drawings that would be able to be overlaid inside of your project. I also do like to see this as well. Any sheets that do not have issues on them, or any sheets that do have issues that are tied directly to that drawing. So again, just a couple of different ways that you can do that, just to kind of see your drawings a little bit more clearly. Also, we have the ability to tag specific drawings as well. So if you wanted to go ahead and tag your drawings, you're able to do that. Say you wanted to see anything that was a 50% CD, you'd be able to filter those drawings down to 34 in this case. So just different ways to get to the drawings that you care about and see the things that you want to see, right? We can also reorder these as well. There's different, you can move these around however you want them to be. You can ascending, descending, you can add different rules here based on these filters over here on the left-hand side as well. I talked about importing directly. So we do have the ability to bring in a file from your desktop and bring it into Revizto directly. Those can be a PDF or a DWFX drawing, I suppose, if you had those living on your desktop and you wanted to bring those in to the project to be able to be viewed. Next is the ability to actually export a PDF of any drawing that you're viewing. What's nice about this is if we do, let me see if I have one here. There. Actually, I can just do this pretty quick. So say I want to look at this drawing. I want to export that drawing. I can do things like pick whatever filter stamps that I want. I could also include the markups or the pins, however I wanted to view that. And you're able to export the drawing with all of the pin locations on there, which can be, sort of handy if you're trying to use it for like a heat map type of scenario or situation. And this is what the drawing would look like. And if you are using Revizto, these will hyperlink back to the project itself. So if I wanted to see this particular issue in the issue tracker, if I click on that, it'll take me directly to that issue inside of the issue tracker. So that's Sometimes that's useful, sometimes it's not, but you know, if you can find a use case for that, it is available for you. So if I go back into 2D, back on that, so it looks the same. You have the ability to create folders. You can move drawings in and out of folders. You know, really just set up the 2D how you want it to be inside of your projects, and be able to, you know, really segregate out, like if you had architectural drawings, you had electrical drawings, plumbing drawings, you know, all those things, you can put those into separate folders. So going through the folder structure makes a lot more sense to the user, as opposed to just tying it to a file name or something along those lines. So that's, you know, the top bar here, that's really the functionality across the top. Something I do want to note, we can search for sheet names. So let's say I wanted to, again, go to that floor plan for level 3. I guess I need to spell it right. Level 3 floor plan. You know, you start to see this list become a lot smaller and more manageable, so you can actually get to the drawing that you want to see. So we'll go into this level 3 floor plan drawing, and we can kind of look and start to see what this sheet looks like. Across the bottom here, you'll notice there's a couple of different toggles that you have. First one is going to be, you know, this fountain pen here is a grayscale. You can turn that on and off. Sometimes it's hard to make out the markups on the drawing, so being able to halftone that and really get in there, and it makes it a little bit more clear to see what's going on. Next is the pins. You can turn on the pins. You can see, you know, the location of the issues on the drawing itself, whether they were created in 2D or 3D or in Clash, it doesn't matter. As long as they're, you know, in this same XYZ coordinate, it'll show up on the drawing as well. And again, you would have the ability to click on that and then open that issue in the issue tracker itself. We'll go back to 2D. And then the next one is just none. If you don't want to see any of the noise, you can turn it all off and you can look at it that way, you know, and just look at the drawing itself. So I'll go back to pins. Something you notice, you know, this isn't necessarily on the floor plan itself. These are kind of floating in space, but it's just because of the view range of this drawing. That's why we're able to pull up these issues over here. We have this button up here. It says there's 12 issues on the drawing itself and 47 issues that are viewable on this drawing. So that's what these numbers stand for. If I click on this, it's going to activate again my issue tracker. And then I'm able to come in here, go to sheets, current sheet, and then there's some toggles here as well. So created on, seen on, and then I can turn on my issue pins here. So seen on, and then again, I can filter that down to the current sheet. And we'll see that there's 13 issues here, which matches, well, actually, I don't know why it's 12 there, but those numbers should match. So yeah, so if you want to just see the issues that are created on this drawing or apply to this sheet directly, that's how you would be able to do that, to really filter out a lot of that noise. And just, you know, view what it is that it's important to you. The other thing is, you know, if you really wanted to, you could dive down into, you know, if you wanted to do this by stamp, we could do that. So if I go to the DAR stamp, because that's the first one I noticed, I'm able to filter that down. And this one's staying because this is the issue that I have selected right now. But I'm filtered down to all those particular stamps that were created on this specific sheet. Again, so just being able to see kind of a heat map of maybe where all the issues are, or maybe where your issues are that you're concerned with or that you need to address. So back in 2D, let's see, there's, you know, a couple of things that we do when we export drawings from authoring software is, again, we retain that X, Y, and Z value of where that view is set up. So we're able to do things like any drawing that you see that has this greenhouse down here, we're able to do that overlay. You just click on that and it'll take the sheet, it'll cut it to where it is, and it'll overlay that on top of the 3D model. A couple of different things that we can do here. First is we can actually adjust the entirety of the section cut with the drawing itself. The other option that we have here is we're able to hit this sheet attached button here. So it says sheet detached. And then we're able to pull up the model around the drawing itself. So if you wanted to see this on the floor, you're more than welcome to do that. If you wanted to, you know, see all of it at one time and kind of have this up at maybe a different elevation, if it was a conduit route or a plumbing line or a piece of duct, we can adjust the sheet height. here so that it's closer to your content that you're reviewing or looking at. Next is going to be jump to 3D. So that's going to be this icon up here. It's a box, 3D, arrow, jump to 3D. And when you click on that, it's going to give you this green box here. And this is the active area on the drawing itself. So this would be the active view range that was created from the drawing itself. And from here, we're able to teleport ourselves to anywhere inside of this area by double clicking essentially your mouse. So if I want to be over here in this room, if I double click, it's going to make me look at the floor or a wall usually, but a little bit of manipulation and we're able to see exactly where we are. We can turn off the sectioning there and you're able to see the whole building. And then if I go back to 2D, you'll see this is my location. So really being able to just pinpoint where you want to be makes it very easy for people, especially, some field users on the iPads to be able to, just jump around and not have to fumble through with your thumbs. Sometimes that can be a little bit easier for them to jump to where they want to be in the model. The last button I can show over here is going to be, it's very similar to this one. However, when we activate this, we're going to get that same teleport functionality as well. So again, say I want to be over here now. What it's going to do is it's going to throw that sheet right on the ground, and it's going to put me in that location. So this is a newer feature that we added recently. But again, this is just another nice way to make all of that happen all at once. So something else that I wanted to mention, let me see if I can remember a number, 420353. 420353. That needs to be a 0. We do also have the ability to search for content on the drawing itself. And so this is actually going to be text inside of the PDF. So if I go back to this level 3 drawing, you'll see that this is called out. So again, if you're looking for that off piece of equipment, you're looking for that very specific room or corridor, and you're not quite sure exactly which drawing that would fall on, you're able to search the actual text of the drawings and be able to find the sheets that it's on, and then be able to identify that once you get onto that sheet. This was very helpful for me being an electrician. Obviously, our panel names are extremely long and difficult, and I never really quite knew how or what all of that nomenclature meant on every different project that I was on. So for me to try to remember all of those different scenarios in my head was a little difficult. So I'd use this search function and I'd be able to either look at it on the one line or look at it on a floor plan or use this to get to the information that I needed at that time. From there, we can start talking about tools that we have available once we're inside of the drawing. We filtered the issues down to what we care to see. We can hide them if we want to. We have the available markups that are already on the drawing, but we have some other features as well across the top here. The first one is going to be a sheet compare. We have a couple different options inside of here. I know not very many people of you are using it, and that's totally fine. But again, you have the ability to, this right column is going to be different versions of the drawing that you're looking at specifically. So if you wanted to compare, design documents that through an RFI or through a design change or something along those lines, you'd be able to compare those two drawings directly on top of each other to identify what's been changed. Or you have the ability to select any other drawing on the project and be able to do an overlay as well. So let's just see what this level 5 looks like, and you can kind of see what that does. You can move the slider to see which drawing you want to be able to see, have them in the middle to overlay on top of each other directly. And so yeah, that's how our sheet compare works. You can actually swap sheets around top and bottom, so you can view one at a time, and then you can go back to your compare as well. From there, again, this is going to be uploading a document directly, but we don't need to do that, importing there, and creating issues as well. So not only can we create issues in 3D, which we'll talk about in future episodes, but we have the ability to create 2D issues here as well. Let's just say it's an architectural issue in this particular location, drag the stamp, we put it there. I can then, come up to this fountain pen here, and I can start to mark this up and call things out as necessary. Well, that'll be done. Now we have an issue that's been created inside of the issue tracker for us. I can then, come over here with this activated, and I can then put in, additional comments if I need to further, push the conversation forward. I'm able to upload any files, any pictures that I may have taken. If you're on an iPad or a phone, you're able to just immediately go and take a photo if you're out in the field doing a field walk or anything like that, or any 360-degree photos that you guys may be using. So again, very similar to the issue tracker itself. And while we're talking about the issue tracker, some of the other things that I probably didn't touch on very well 2 weeks ago was, this panel, this column here, if you will, and kind of how to interact with some of this stuff. So let me just touch on that very briefly, and then we'll get back to 2D. So we have the status column here, or the status line here. You're able to move this through a cycle of open, in progress, solved, and closed. So a new issue comes in, it's going to be open. As you're working on it, you'll want to move that to in progress. When you're done, you'll want to move that to solved. Let's say, for example, an issue was assigned to you, but you're like, I can't do anything with this. This needs to be, somebody else on the team that needs to address this issue. You have the ability to change the assignee here as well. So let's just say, my name is Mark Peterson, and it needs to go to Daniel Buckner. I can then change that information. What I'm going to want to do, though, is I'm really going to want to put a reason why I moved that issue over. Maybe, it's code, cannot move, something along those lines. So that way, at least there's some dialogue happening. We're not just passing issues around in your room. You're also able to move the priority around up and down as needed for these issues, and add any additional people that may need to have insight into the issues themselves. So anyway, I just wanted to touch on that because I think I probably skipped over that, or at least didn't do a very good job of explaining it a couple weeks ago. So that's issue creation. Next one, and probably last one today, is going to be our measuring tool. There's several different ways that we can measure inside of Revizto in 2D. First one is just going to be a straight line, and this does snap. If you hold down, I think it's shift, yeah, so shift, you have the ability to really get a straight line, and it will snap to, well, that didn't work for me the way I wanted it to. But let's try that again, shall we? There we go. So that's a nice straight line there. The other thing to note is as you're making these measurements, if you hold down shift, you get 15-degree increments. So 15, 30, 45, 90, whatever that one is, snapping to there. I don't want to do that one. What is that? 60, 75, 90. There we go. I can math. So, if you're trying to, get an angle, you're able to hold down that shift button, and each one of those movements is 15 degrees. Next is going to be area. I use this a lot with estimators that I worked with. A lot of times, they estimate based off square footage. So it's pretty easy to just, grab this corner, go to that corner, get your overall square footage, and just do a baseline estimate of kind of what that would take. Well, we have two more. The next one's going to be a polyline. So if I wanted to, trace out a conduit run, let's just say this is a conduit, I'd be able to do that, and then I'd have, overall measurements for that entire run. Next one's going to be angle, and this is, pretty straightforward. You pick 3 points, and it'll give you the angle of that as well. And then again, we can recalibrate sheets if we need to. We remember the scale at which this was printed at. So I don't know where the scale is on here. Maybe it's over here in the, actually I want to get out of this so I don't screw it up. Yeah, so right here's the scale. This is in millimeters. But if you brought in a sheet, like a dummy PDF, you could come in here and set the actual scale of that drawing. So that way the measurement tool would work for that particular measurement or project that you're working on. Let's see, what else can I show you about 2D? Yeah, so as you're selecting them, you can see version history here. If I wanted to, I can open that version history directly. It'll tell me it's an old version over here. But so instead of doing an overlay, you can go back and look at 2D stuff as well. And then that jump there takes me to the current sheet that I was just looking at. So Colin, let's see, how does it work with a regular shape turn? Sorry, Chuck, I didn't see when you asked the question. So can you was it the area measurement or? Yeah, so the area is unfortunately just square as far as I know. Well, hold on. You know what? No, I can actually, if I don't drag, I have the ability to, and hold down shift, I have the ability to do things like this all the way around. And then it'll give you your square footage there. Possible to get a line to spit out its X and Y change instead. We'll get an angles line to spit out its X and Y change. I'm not sure I understand. I think you're asking if I do this and I take a measurement. Actually, I'm gonna have to go to a completely different scenario here. So if I measure from here to here, you're saying, is there a way to get it to read how far the X and Y value is for this? Is that what you're asking for, Chuck? All right, I'm sorry, Colin. I apologize. If that is the question, I don't know of a way to show the value of how far this is over, other than just the measurement itself. As far as like an actual XY value of of how far you're going, I don't know of a way to do that. Get a composite. Yeah, so it doesn't, I think, so if you're saying if I go here, I mean, I can get that measurement there. It doesn't necessarily have to snap to anything. But if you're wondering, you know, if I can get, you know, this measurement and then this measurement, you'd have to do a couple different things, or you could do the square footage probably, and we could go, you know, from this corner to this corner to this corner, and then that's probably a really bad example because it's all going to be on top of each other. But let me try that again on a different scenario. Is that giving you what you're asking for, Colin? Awesome. Great. What other functionalities do I have inside of 2D? You could you can change these around, feet, inches, meters, millimeters. You can actually do all the way down to 256 of an inch if that's what your tolerances are going to be. Radians, degrees, you can change all that around if you need to get the precise measurement that you care about. I guess the last thing to note is if I did take a measurement and I wanted that to be conveyed in an issue, I do have the ability to create an issue right there with this measurement. And then you'll see the snapshot of this issue. Where'd it go? Right here. Pins. Filter weird. Let me grab it. So many issues. I got lost in the sauce. Sorry, guys. There's the measurement right there for that issue. It's a different issue, but this is how it would show up for you guys. Any questions? I ran through pretty much everything that I can run through with 2D. Again, I guess some specific workflows and reasons to upload your installation drawings. I always like to do that. I always like to be able to see my content and be able to overlay that, look at section views, which I don't think we even talked about. If I open up a different, a different one here, this is an installation drawing of conduits. Really, being able to overlay that into the model, as well as look at any suction cuts that you may have, and be able to overlay that as well. So that way you could look at those in real time, essentially with your foreman out in the field, and then the installers out there, so that they can agree, up front on kind of what the design is going to be. This is great because it's going through a duct, but that's funny. Yeah, just being able to have that conversation up front and say, hey, like, we have an issue right here, we probably need to fix this, or are we going to have a conversation with the duct installers to see if we can work out something here in this location. So maybe it was a good example. And that's really why I really liked having my installation drawings in there. I know that, sometimes, they're a work in progress and things like that. So maybe that's maybe not why you're sharing them right away into the project. But again, I really being able to open up that door and have that conversation with my field teams early and often really did help me coordinate projects more efficiently, to be able to have those conversations early, so that when we got close to the end of sign off for an area in coordination, we had a lot of this stuff already worked out, or at least had a plan to fix some of the things that I knew were going to be issues. So officially, questions? No questions today coming in. Did anybody learn anything today? All right, getting some yeses, some thumbs up, some thank yous. You're welcome, Nick. Thank you so much for being here and spending part of your day with me. I'm glad it wasn't an absolute waste of your time. All right. So up next, we're going to be breaking down 3D. We're going to be talking about some of the similarities and differences between other softwares and us. And then we're going to, get just come ready to learn about 3D and all the things that we can do. I would say this one's maybe going to be a little bit longer than the previous two. Because there's a lot of information and a lot of stuff that we can do inside of 3D. That's pretty cool. That can really, really help you guys out on your projects and what you're doing. Again, you can contact us, Revizto.com, Help Center is there. Revisto's handle at LinkedIn, mine as well. So please feel free to reach out. A shameless plug. We're gonna, talk about this probably every time, but RevUp's coming next year, March 18th through the 20th. This really is a non-miss event. We really do bring together some of the best minds in the industry to have conversations and trainings and talk about what they're doing, and really just a great place to network and get to know people and bounce ideas off of them and all that stuff. We do have certifications as well. Level 1 was last year. We're coming out with level 2 this year, so that'll be available there as well. We'll have some sponsors there, be able to learn about our sponsors that are going to be there out there in the expo hall, and really just ask all the questions that you have with the team, maybe not just me, but other people that'll be there as well. So really look forward to seeing all of you there. And a huge thank you again. I really appreciate you guys taking time out of your day to spend with me so that I can hopefully share some knowledge that I have over the last 2 years of using Revizto. So thank you. Have a fantastic weekend, and we'll talk to you again in 2 weeks.